Chris, I think you and Alex Zek are two of the most brilliant dudes I know. And for you to come out and say, like, look, we know what COVID is not. Okay. We know that. Alex has been saying that for a while. He's proved that it's not certain things. And I respect that. But I've always felt like there is something that's kind of contagious, and there's something like these people can't be making up that they're sick. And then if they're within the vicinity of one another, I mean, they're getting sick. I actually know someone who is very much on that Tom Cowan, Alex Zek, thought process, who went to a retreat, and she said that everyone in the retreat got sick because one person got sick, right? And I was like, so then do you believe to some extent germ theory? And she said, no, because it's just the way that we were all detoxing. So there are people who are like adamant that there's no new disease, there's no new germs, nothing. COVID's just made up, which I'm not on that ballpark, I do think that there's something, and people will say, well, we haven't isolated anything. So, we haven't isolated God, but many people believe in God. So in the same way, I believe that there's something there that's making people sick. And you found this lady, Sabrina Wallace, you've been watching her videos, and you believe, if I may take the words out of your mouth, that she may have cracked the code for what COVID really is. Is that fair to say?
Yes, because it has a lot more to do with like math and engineering and networking protocols than it has anything to do with theory. And it has a lot of paperwork and international standards organizations and Department of Defense paper trails to back it up. So it's not so theoretical, really. I think I'm at like 89 now. I counted my folder because
89 of our videos. Okay, wait, time out. So okay,
well,
so
like
people watching this, Chris sent me a video of Sabrina Wallace on YouTube explaining the biosphere. And I put the link for it on my Telegram. Link under bio. Telegram, the video's right there. But can you look, bro? I watched this fucking video 3 times, man, and I still don't know what the fuck she's talking about, man. Like I'm like, what are you talking about, woman? And she's like, you don't fucking get it, man. You don't fucking get it by now, man. We're at the radio frequency 80.15289. What? So I'm asking you, please. I mean, I understand that there are some really smart people here, but there are also people like me who are just like, yo, man, like we don't know what you're talking about. So can you please explain, like as we're in like 8th grade, not 6th grade, but 8th grade, just like what we need to know. Just some analogies. You're good with the analogies and stuff. So what do we need to know about this right now?
Okay, so what you have to keep in mind, or maybe not keep in mind, but know about my background is that before I looked so scruffy like a unshaven dude who needs a haircut, in my teenage years, like when I was 13 or 14 years old, my parents surprised me for my birthday with our first home PC. I came home and there's a giant Gateway cow box sitting in the living room, and I was freaking out because I wanted a PC so bad, and I thought they were so cool. And I was in like the computer club, and I was in like the math club. I was that kid. Totally glasses before the LASIK, totally like skinny and like, hi you guys, I like math and science. Computer code is cool. Guess what? I can like start my pencil sharpener with the light switch. Just crazy stuff like that. Right. And I could dunk a basketball because I was so tall that like by like the end of middle school, high school, everybody was like, get your behind in the gym. And I was like, okay, fine. So basketball came kind of late for me, but I was this engineering kid. That's why I turned down 3 separate basketball scholarships to go to an engineering college. I wanted to go to the biggest engineering college for computer science, not play basketball professionally, because I was good, but I was not big. I was never like the biggest kid. I was playing against Carmelo Anthony in high school, and he was like smashing my face all against the wall and stuff. He was much bigger than me in high school. I played with Chris Paul in the AAU.
Chris Paul?
I played with all kinds. Yeah, Chris Paul.
Dude, I'm rooting for the Warriors this year because of Chris Paul. I want to see him win a championship. So.
Yo, I saw his graduation. Like, I was at my niece's graduation at Winston-Salem State, just a small college in North Carolina, and they called Christopher Emmanuel Paul or something like that. And I'm like, and everybody was taking pictures, and I'm like, wait, Chris Paul's graduating from here? Like, hold on. So just not even a year ago, maybe about a year ago. He did go to Wake Forest. Wake
Okay.
Forest was having their graduation there, and he finished his courses and got his final degree
Okay.
just a couple months ago. So I played with him at AAU, and I was like, "Yo, what's up, Chris? How you say you?" And like, since we was just talk. Anyway, all of these. There was a reason I went on the tangent. All these players. Oh yeah, I was just this kid who liked computers, and I liked like coding and like engineering and I want to be an inventor. That was me. So when I started college, I really wanted to be I thought I wanted to be a computer software or systems engineer. So I was taking classes and courses in C++, in not quite Objective-C and all the later stuff, but JavaScript and HTML, and just your basic coding languages, and even like Unix command line coding and stuff like that. So, writing simple software programs, stuff like that. If I really wanted to geek out on, I could write some sort of like Bluetooth script or Zigbee script or some sort of just basic code, nothing super advanced, but enough to know that when I started watching her videos, I was like, okay, this is oddly checking out from an
what she's saying.
standpoint.
So for the people who haven't watched this video, is this like basic computer science technology language that she's speaking, or is it more advanced?
Yes. No, she is speaking quite advanced, but she's speaking mostly systems networking and networking information systems language. So if you've had any background in engineering, computer science, or net systems networking particularly, it's like basically the ABCs as far as you're concerned, because it's just how that industry works. You know what I'm saying? It's like shipping works this way. The entertainment industry works this way. The medical industry works this way. The industry as it regards to TCP/IP internet protocol just works this way. These types of things handle switches and routers go here, and DNS servers do this, and there's a thing. And so when she's talking, I'm sitting there going, okay, so it makes sense from a math standpoint, but like, how is that even possible? Like, that was the whole time I was like listening, like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, can I ask you something? Before
Why
you
is it the
proceed,
craziest?
so when you sent me that and you're like, bro, you gotta watch this, and I started watching this, I was like, this is the boringest shit I've ever seen. Like, I'm like, of all the fucking things you sent me, because I'm sending you shit like the Jason Shirka video, the phone call that he had with Ray. I'm like, yo, you gotta listen to this shit, man. He's talking to Ray. And I had certain thoughts about that. If you guys haven't heard that one, that was a really interesting 30-minute conversation, which I might actually ask Jason to do a live on that, because I have some questions on that. But the shit that you sent me in exchange, you're like, yo, check this shit out. I'm like, bro, this is boring as hell, man. Like, you expect me to pay attention? So what got you interested? Like, who sent you the video? How did you come across this video on Odyssey?
So I saw a video that I was either a DM or somebody tagged me. Somehow I stumbled on this on Instagram, and it was just a 15-minute excerpt, like a 10-minute excerpt. And I remember being like, hold on, now this makes actual sense. What is she talking about? They're using your body part as a antenna, like, huh? And go back to that. And I remember being like, who is this? And I went to the channel, and they didn't have but one video. And so I copied the link, and I'm in this big group chat with a bunch of honorable men amongst the truth speaking community. And I pasted it in the group chat, and I'm like, yo, homies, anybody know who this lady is? I need to know more. And somebody in the group chat was like, I don't know much about her, but somebody sent some stuff to me about her. And it was the video that I sent you, the YouTube link, the longer one. And I watched that, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this is checking out. Like, this is
okay. So the people are annoyed that I interrupted you. So can you just the basics of what we need to know about the biosphere, and please enlighten us.
Okay, so imagine my surprise when I exit and pivot from my background in engineering and telecommunications. That was my major. Telecommunications with marketing concentration in media. That was my official major. So she's talking telecommunications, and I was a telecommunications. And I pivoted that into like video and media advertising stuff, my own. But my like classical training is in like basically all the stuff she's talking about. And so I'm listening to this lady explain how, in a nutshell, and this is for anybody who's wondering this whole time, like, what, okay, who is she? What is this lady talking about? I'm about to explain. I find, after searching her name unsuccessfully on YouTube and then finding nothing on BitChute or Brighteon or Rumble, but some stuff, plenty on Odyssey, and a couple things on Rumble, but more so on Odyssey, that she was a targeted individual. She was somebody who was experimented on and had a lot done on her. If anybody is not familiar with the concept of a TI, that is somebody who has acknowledgingly been manipulated or tampered with by elements of hierarchy that go above our government. And, you know, usually TIs are interesting to me because they always got a bone to pick. They're always like, I don't care, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say because I'm already at my wit's end anyway. And it's kind of like entertaining. Like half the time they'll be spinning in circles because they're just talking about the fact that government tampering exists, and we're kind of like, yep, you're the 57th person I've heard say that. Like, okay, what else can you tell me? Nothing. Okay, great. But in other cases, they happen to be former networking analysts. French 333 that's the exact channel. So these former network analysts make a lot of sense when they're talking network like protocols and stuff. And really, all she's really saying, if I can simplify it to a nutshell, and then I'll unpack what she means, is that there are protocols by which your phone connects to the Instagram server and then blasts out over simulcast to the other 280 something people that's watching today, right now, to my phone, receiving there's several protocols happening, multiple computers at play, collecting this data, transmitting this data in close to real time. Classically, we know those as servers, computer servers, and those servers are usually industrial shaped computers, but just computers just like the ones on your desk or in your phone, that sit in a rack mounted system that in some cases is liquid cooled because of how hot they get, that if they're under high demand will be buried underground in underground facilities specifically so that they can be kept cool because of how hot they get. And that is the general way that computing happens, is that the cloud is really some basement computer underground somewhere that has physical glass wires called fiber optic cables that are transmitting data at the speed of light under multiple strands of glass and at multiple phases, so that multiple streams of data can be sent across the same piece of glass times 100 for as far as it needs to go across the ocean.
So if
or
I
however,
say
most
something,
of our
this
internet is based in
data is going to some server and blasting it to the people watching this and to you as well.
Correct, exactly. And that's making this trip around the world in once or twice within, probably in the Instagram live case, there is like maybe like a 15 or 20-second delay. So the simulcast feature creates this buffer that creates this delay. But under a FaceTime or something more direct like a Zoom,
so
we're talking
I think
less
everyone
than
gets that, because let's go step by step. So everyone understands that, I hope. Okay. So then next way. So how does this?
Correct. And the internet backbone is simply a term. The backbone is a term that is the convergence point where all these DNS servers and node routers and cluster nodes and these other computer systems all report to these short list of computers that are connected to large pipes called the backbone that physically run around the country and across under the ocean and stuff. And then the more like, think of it like the veins in your body. These are the aortas and the main carotid arteries of the internet body, so to speak. And internet protocol is all about how to interface and send packets from your phone to my phone through this crazy highway. and have it be secure and have it be integral, meaning that there's no packet loss. My video don't start glitching up or the audio don't cut out. Anytime you see Joe's video glitch up for a second, it's because somewhere in that chain, some other data started removing attention from the packets sent from Joe's phone, and we see that as quality loss. So that's a basic understanding of computing and how digital information, like light from my light bouncing off my face into my camera sensor, being translated into my phone digitally, goes across, and y'all see it. So the next layer up is, imagine I told you that the human body is an incredibly powerful computer, incredibly powerful, and that it's been my hunch for a while that modern computers are really derivatives of humans. So we are marketed to like, oh, computers will make you better. You should transhumanize yourself and merge with computers. You can be like RoboCop or somebody. But that's a lie, because the human body is way faster than a computer. Human neuron is way faster than the silicon in a computing chip. But the plan for the entire Internet of Bodies and Internet of Things, which are concepts built into this whole Agenda 2030, is to use your body as this computer and not the server in the basement. Your red blood cells translating photons, light energy at the atomic scale via your aura, or what's called your biofield. So this term, BIOFIELD, is kind of the central nexus to what this lady
Chris, before you get to that,
about.
So when you're saying the human body as a computer, we're not even talking about the brain. We're talking about the whole brain and body and the biosphere, this aura fields. That all combined is the computer. Correct. You're talking about.
Correct. Every cell that your body has electrical access to. So from your toe to your brain, with the field being the antenna, or think of the field like the Ethernet cable, and your body itself.
Because I don't know the processing speed of a neuron versus, a chip in a computer or so on, but I know a cell can do 1 million different biochemical processes per second. So that gives you a measure. Okay, so there's a lot of computing power in the human body. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, a tremendous amount, like by orders of magnitude, according to all the official MITs, DARPAs, all them. So little did we know that our bodies actually are powerful and made in the image of the Creator, the ultimate creation machine, and we bear electrical signals as witnesses to that. But they are in the process of hijacking those electrical signals using your body part. Now, if anybody goes and watches her videos, you will see her say this 20 times in every video at least. They took a body part. They took your body part. And this body part, she keeps reinforcing, is this 8 foot in all directions around you electromagnetic field of energy that when your hair stands up on your arm, that's you witnessing the electrostatic output. From fear, from love, from erotic touch, from all these different reasons your hair can stand up on your arm. But control over one's own body part, called their biofield, is the best line of defense in dealing and mitigating what's being assaulted on all of us. So I'm no expert at that.
But think about it too.
But think about that too.
Like, if you're, and everyone here who's in the Namaste wellness community knows this, that if you're in the presence of someone who's very, spiritual, like they have like a certain good, positive, warm, vibe, versus someone who's like fucking hating on life, it's like a black hole. They suck your energy dry. So there is that aura, that energy field, like different vibes. And like, even if you had your eyes closed, and if I put my hand like near your face, you would sense that. You could feel that, like that Reiki thing's legit. So I totally buy the biofields. So I don't think so please continue with that.
So if you keep in mind that the biofield is just the internet connection, it's not the computer, it's just the connection. Your body is the computer, your red blood cells. So imagine that WordPress code machine learning code. All like in a computer system, like we learn it. You're talking machine or software language, machine language, and then you have like the baseband layer, which is the physical hardware, the code that translates how this physical chip is supposed to deal with any information coming from the motherboard or from the processor. So in this step of computing, you have instructions, and all these instructions are kind of, keeping in mind, computers are built off of how your body works. So your body's genetic functions, your DNA, all these things have instructions. Now, a lot of people are questioning a lot about viruses and DNA and the existence of any of these, extant premises in modern science and medicine. But a lot of what this lady, as well as other people that I've heard speak on the matter, are saying is that if you couch it in terms of frequencies and plasma like wave states and not like esoteric, like it's not ethereal so much as it's mathematical, and it's not woo woo foo foo juju so much as it's just different names given for different harmonic states of a particle or of an atom. So it's like the same things that the fringe discussions can start to speak about terms and spirit terms. A lot of that can be accounted for mathematically, which she and I both agree bears witness to a beautiful creator and a beautiful design, not this kind of evolutionary open-ended, we just got here because a bang went off. So she's basically saying that your biofield is an antenna. And since the year 1995, it has been on the books in the International Standards Organization that this antenna is accessible and open for private use on anybody with enough money to step up to the plate and purchase a few hundred humans to process data on without our consent. Precisely. And that was her big bone to pick, is that she was aware that this was happening, but she just didn't realize that this one layer in the networking node meant physical humans. It's called the cyber physical backbone. That's what, like, the physical backbone is what the physical wires are in the actual service that host all the core, like, aggregate math that goes up the chain in the bigger web. So it's like the center web in the spider web and all the main webs that the spider started with. That's like the backbone. And so imagine you're in networking and you see all this, all your job, and then nobody tells you that what you think is a server somewhere in Texas or Arizona or Los Angeles is really a bunch of people's bodies in the zip code.
So who owns the rights to sell our biofuels to,
DOD. The DOD. The Department of Defense.
They have the
as
rights.
A matter of national security. They established themselves as the vendor. Like, whether they have the right to, that's a matter of moral integrity. And I don't think that they do. But do they do it? Are they the primary vendor?
So you gave me an example of how Amazon bought the rights through the DOD to do exactly what?
To process shipping data on Amazon Web Services on people on certain spectrum within the wide body area network.
And she found this out. That this is fact.
Yeah. because it's because it's open and declared. Like, they stated at their symposiums, and like, you know how the DoD will, all these little agencies will host a so-and-so symposium, or like our defense contracts initiative ceremony of 2015 or whatever it is. She just attended one. And there's videos I've seen when I was searching for her where you see her at the symposium asking a question in the audience, and the guy's answering her question directly. And it's like, yeah, you can find the patents here, and here are our list of contracts.
Wait. Okay, so I like the way you're explaining it this way better. For some reason, in front of 270 people, this makes a lot more sense.
Because I'm going like micro slow. I'm really like trying to like.
Yeah, man.
And
you're like talking to me before, like I was some computer science guy, but I understand these analogy this way. But wait, so time out. So Amazon paid money to the DoD, Department of Defense, to say we want data from this group of people, or whatever, so that we could use that data to understand how to ship more efficiently. That's in a nutshell.
That's layer one. That's the old school. They've been doing that since the 50s and 60s. I'm saying that they paid the DoD that said we want to lease 800 gigabytes or terabytes or petabytes or whatever of bandwidth from the humans' bodies,
For
red blood cells in
what
this zip
purpose?
code and that zip code, to save costs on computational services from their server end, because it's cheaper to do that than physically
So
run
these
computers.
people
You have
in
to be
Texas, let's just say, they want to buy some Texas people's bodies to use as servers to store their information or use that to bounce off data somewhere else or whatever, right? What about the people there? Did they catch COVID? Is that what happened?
Yeah, what would have happened even prior to COVID? Because COVID was just the dial up to broadband for the interconnection. That's what this was about. So the answer is yes, but what would have happened is those people would have felt an increased heart rate and strain on their fatigue, on their stamina, on their just energy in their body. Energy, literal neurons would be being siphoned off of them for
Do you think
use for other
maybe like
things than their
that could
brain is
affect
telling them
people's
to
like
use.
anxiety levels, like insomnia, that shit too?
Insomnia, anxiety, people's indigestion, people's fatigue. It could express itself, however, because who knows how much they need to use out of your cluster node that particular day. Are we mining Bitcoin data or processing booty cheeks? Like which one? Who knows? It's like agnostic ones and
Okay,
zeros at that
before we
point. You know what I
continue, I
mean?
just want to
It's
ask the
not
people
like,
here, like, are you guys following? Because I'm following so far, but do you guys need any clarification? Because I don't know if we're going a little bit too fast here. This is like,
I saw somebody has asked if I've read her documents. The answer is partially yes. I'm still going through her main one. But yes, she maintains that the immune system is
yeah,
80% your biofield, because your biofield is affected by your skin. So your immune system is comprised of your skin, your spleen, your lymphatic system, there's a couple other key systems in there. Your skin, your spleen, your lymphatic system, your thyroid or something like that, and
but
then one
right,
or two
but
other
the
major
the
organs.
hard part of this for me to grasp is they're openly admitting that they are doing this. This is like public information that they are using humans
Yes.
as
Well,
servers.
put it like this: it's public information. Yes, it's public information when you put the pieces together. Nobody's standing up saying, "Hi, my name is Charles. I'm with the DoD, and we're using human bodies as computers." They're just saying we've deployed the cyber physical backbone on the wide body area network. And if you happen to look in the international standards at what that is, you see exactly what it is. And you have this lady who's essentially bridging the gap for you, saying, "Hello, this is my job, and I'm here to basically say, what the freak are they doing, y'all?
Wait,
They're like
okay,
straight
so
up
and so I'm reading some of
siphoning
the
data
comments
off
here,
of
and
people."
people are saying, "Well, why are they doing this?" So is it faster to use human bodies as servers than the computer?
Yes, and here's why. Because the point is for it all to be ad hoc and ubiquitous. Because servers are centralized. When I say, "Hey Joe, here's a photo of the two of us, a selfie, ka-ching," and I go text. It has to go from my phone to, my Wi-Fi or wherever the location we're at, to the server at T-Mobile, to the DNS server that routes it around town, to the other one that takes it to the backbone, to all the data centers and all the checks and balances that they don't tell you about, to your phone, and then show up on your computer or your thing. It's like 100 computers it goes through, and it happens like whoop,
Yeah,
like that quick. So if I just do an airdrop to you and I say, "Hey, let me airdrop it to you," that airdrop is creating what's
mhm,
called an ad hoc network. It's turning my phone into a small router, like a modem, and you're connecting. And then I'm sending like a P2P or some sort of basic file transfer to your phone. And it all just looks like a blue little
yeah.
line. And Apple goes, bloop, oh, airdrop. So it bypasses all those 100 computers. So that saves power on all of those 100 computers for me not to have to send you the
I get
same
that. Yeah,
JPEG that's 3 megabytes. Okay, so imagine the entire computing franchise is happening on supercomputers that are directly bioelectrically connected to one another ad hoc. Yes, this is the only thing that makes something like cryptocurrency sustainable, because everybody can tell you right now that data mining is clearly not green and clearly not sustainable in its present form. And I think that that's because they knew that they weren't going to be using this liquid cooled silicon underground for forever. It was just a stopgap, because the human body can process all of that and more. It just needs the IO. It needs the input output. IO is just a nickname for data going in, data coming out. If you remember back in the day, you used to have dial-up.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to go to Napster, download. And it was like 18 minutes to download one little song. Then you got Roadrunner Internet or Cox or Time Warner or Xfinity or whatever, and then you hit download and it says, zoop. And now you got Google Fiber, you say download, say, zoop. And now you got precognition. You're like, I want to, oh wait, it already downloaded. Like, how did you know I wanted to download? So all of that means is that more glass, more bandwidth was given to the protocols between your request and the other computer that was serving up your request. That's all that means. Your computer could always handle the file like this, but the data wasn't able to be transmitted. So
when you say
at a distance,
more band, the visual will be like if there's a tube that the information is going through, more band would be like it just able to go in a lot faster. Exactly. Is that a good visual, or is there a different visual that we should?
Exactly. That's a good one. That's a great one. A common visual is a highway. The traffic going 70 miles an hour on a 2-lane highway during rush hour, or 70 miles an hour on an 8-lane highway.
More band,
Dallas,
more
Texas,
room for information to go through. Okay. So exactly. The implementation of G Money here, right? I remember when 2020, 2021 was happening, anyone who mentioned that, boom, right? So anyone that mentioned anything against the Maxine or this, boom. So we always knew that there was something with that, but we didn't know exactly like what it was. So this, what Sabrina Wallace is saying, is piecing this all together for you.
Yes, because it finally is like, so, aha.
Can you explain that? Can you explain what I know what y'all were doing. G Money was all about? What does that do now? That in conjunction with this.
That was about, yes. So this G Money was all about, and I said this from the beginning, I just never knew the bigger scope of what I was talking about. It's about increasing the available IP addresses, increasing the amount of bandwidth that could potentially be used. Like, so you live in, let's just say, Austin, Texas, a booming metropolis. The major highway that goes to Austin, Texas has 7 lanes on the highway. Let's just say we put a 50-lane highway in. Now, you're not going to fill that 50-lane highway tomorrow, but in 10 years you might. You see what I mean? So this G Money was about having enough IP, enough possible unique identifiers that fall into this internet protocol to not overlap with somebody else's data elsewhere around the whole world, so that enough of those could exist and be viable for commercial use in the existing systems. That was the first half of what it was for. The other half of what it was for was to roll out, according to this lady, an application that triggers a series of symptoms that is later tracked for a feature they're working on in this DoD portfolio of things they offer for their customers, called Precision AI Healthcare. Precision AI Healthcare. It's another thing she talks about a lot, because Precision AI Healthcare is all about AI having nodes inside of you that are partly grown from your own biotissue, so they're like part of you, kind of, that report back home at such a regular basis that as of, I think she said, I think the number is 2018 or 2017, they have been able to guarantee a 40% minimum readout of the cellular state of your body. Meaning, if I'm your insurance company and I'm like, Joe, do I really want to insure Joe? DOD, how much does it cost for you to tell me exactly the cellular state in Joe Yee's body. He's on my roster of people who have a policy with my company. Okay, great. 10,000 versus 10,000. How old is he again? Okay, yeah, it's worth it. Okay, we'll pay. So they pay for the bloop, the scan to be tossed into the AI algorithm, and whenever your number comes up, bloop, bloop, it reads back, and at every interval that they select, the cellular state of how inflamed or not, how hypoxic or not, whatever, every cell in your body is reported back to your insurance provider. And at any point that they say, oh, he's getting a bit diabetic, they have the ability to knock you off their policy or offer you their precision AI healthcare module option that's $1,000 more a month that can fix it wirelessly for you with their precision medicine release. And this is all openly documented.
And you know
as
what
part
really
of what they
obsessed me
are
here
doing
is my family doctor just a few weeks ago stuck his finger inside my asshole to check for my prostate. Okay, although my PSA levels are fine, he said that
Right.
it's only 60% sensitive or some shit, and he had to put his finger inside my ass to feel my prostate to just make sure that there wasn't a tumor there or something, right? And like, I'm not losing weight. In fact, I gained weight. My appetite's fine, whatever. But he's like convinced that I gotta have like a prostate exam. And I'm like, dude, you're telling me that the best thing that you got right now, you don't have a fucking scan? Like the best thing you got is your finger inside my asshole. And he said, exactly. So he did that, man. So now I feel fucking violated because you're telling me that they got these like biosphere aura, measuring techniques that could check if I had some shit going on inside my body, right?
From a remote location.
You know what I think, man? I think he wanted to stick his finger inside my ass because I'm verified on Instagram.
I think you did. I think that's why he's in that line of work.
All right, but please. So go on.
So somebody said, did you like it, though?
No, in fact, man, he needed more lube on that motherfucker, man, because I feel like my ass ripped a little bit. And he's like, yo, dude, there's a little blood in your stool sample. I'm like, yeah, because maybe you ripped my ass. Yeah.
You're like, no, bro, you're freaking
nasty,
eagle talent.
Nasty, man. I hope you never get that, man. But listen, okay, so then you were talking about 5G.
Me too.
People are like, what is G money? G, okay?
We're trying to not say that hot trigger word. That
I know, but this is why I'm like, okay, so then now it's starting to make sense because they were so adamant against like anything about the G Towers and, Tom Count, Buttar, anything in that realm. Yeah.
Anything. And now we know why. Because at the time I was kind of like, I don't get it. I don't think this causes this. What do you mean? Now I'm learning that what in her, so I had watched like 50 something of this lady's videos. And then I commented on one. I said, hey, this is one you just posted. I'm going to type my comment. And my question for her was, can you elaborate on what you think the Roni Roan actually was? Because I think I've heard you say that it was either a result of people's bodies being used in an increased fashion for computing, but then otherwise, I think I've heard you say that it's a program that was run, like a specific app that was run. And so when she answered me, she ended up having to delete the video that I commented on. So she posted 2 subsequent videos and said, hey, to the commenter who asked this question, I didn't forget to answer. I took a screenshot of your question and I'm going to answer because you asked a good question, but the answer is both. And I remember being like, huh? So I'm listening. And she's basically saying that this cyber physical backbone went live in 2017. That means at a certain level of the internet as it exists right now, they already do this for everybody. So if anybody's ever experienced like oddities
I thought you
in their
said
health
2005
or whatever, 2017,
they were doing this.
Well, that's when it was commercialized, but the backbone in terms of where everybody's on the system was 2017. 2005 was when step right up. All right, who wants to step for wife their wife? Okay, for 45,000, you can control your wife. Have her sit, have her shut the F up, have her speak up, have her look to the left, have her forget what she just saw. All of that stuff. It was commercialized, privatized. You can do it to your army. You can do it to your
Amazon
Navy,
bought,
you can do it to your Air Force.
Participated in that back in, okay.
Right. you can use it right because you can use it for, control of the computer, or you can use it as the
But in
computer's just a node in a
2017,
bigger system. It's up to you. This is when the baseline backbone went live. The fact that a backbone means that it is the centralized place where all internet traffic routes through and back out. It's the main highway in the thing. It's the main aorta in
wow.
the cardiovascular
And then so
system.
how does that explain 2020,
And
like with the G and
with the because what all the next couple years was about was instigating an app that tested the propagation of an electromagnetic disease, like a digital virus, like literally a computer virus. That's the crazy part, is that we've kind of come full circle on the term. Because a computer virus, as somebody who knows computer code, is simply just code written to change the function of a system outside of its primary use. That's all a computer virus really is at the end of the day. Your computer is set to do this, and somebody else writes malware or some code that says, no, do this other thing. So at the cellular function end of the day, that's what actually, ironically, everybody was dealing with, was this code that was blasted out. So the unique thing, because you remember you kept saying, I'm not in that camp of people who just think that there was nothing new and that it was all
yeah, there was something that was getting
kind of
some
a
people sick, for sure.
reclassification.
Yeah.
Right. According to this lady, that was a program run to test higher bandwidth usage on the backbone and to track the propagation of how the clusters and the demand spread, because the demand is what causes the illness. And that's why she said both of my points were correct, because the first question I was asking her is this just a byproduct of people's bodies being
Yeah.
used for computing in general? And he said yes, but also because of this
Okay, so
app that was
basically, in a
instigated.
nutshell, by going from 4G to G, that's in conjunction with them sending some sort of a program just to kind of test out something in our bodies. That was a virus. So two things happened that was making people sick.
More or less two key things, because, well, really one key thing, because the one key thing triggers the second thing. The one key thing is that the app was propagated and people bioelectrically adopted it, and a percentage, whatever percentage that was, began the increased network function. You have to keep in mind, this is all based to not kill you, but to run your body like an internet server. So the protocols and the asks, if you will, what the data is asking for is it's asking who's the closest cluster in the node. How many people are around you? 8. How many of them have temperatures below 98 degrees or 99 degrees? Okay, these 4. Okay, great. How many of them have blood pressure here? Okay, these 3. Okay, process data on those 3. Because a computer server is asking that for all the servers. Server number 53, how much load you got? What's your temperature? What's your, like, where are you located? Oh, you're at the server farm way across town. Like, let's go to a closer node. Okay, you handle these 8 tasks. That's all a computer server switch is doing at a
Okay,
network
so
or at any sort of industrial system. So all this is built to like coalesce with the humans, like with like one little turn of the dial. That's the crazy part. Go
okay,
ahead.
so scientifically, based on your engineering and telecommunications, computer science background, what she's saying makes sense to you, right? It checks out. But
Yeah,
can we prove
yeah,
that is what
yeah.
happened? Just like how if David Icke says, "Hey man, the Queen is a fucking lizard," and so is Joe Biden.
Right.
I'm not going to say no to that, but I'm not going to say yes either. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. He could be right.
Right.
But so is it one of those deals? Because this
Right.
is I mean, scientifically it checks out, but what she's saying, is that speculation on her end, or does she have proof that this is what happened?
So she would claim she has proof. And the proof would simply be her personal assessment of the data given her expertise on the subject matter. In her mind, she saw enough network activity increase in this unique way to to logically make the conclusion that what we were witnessing was a digital assault. and nothing else. And keeping in mind, 3 years ago, I said the same thing. If the solution is tech based and the reaction is tech based, then of course the problem has got to be tech based. Like they're not going to have a tech based reaction and a tech based solution for a problem that's not tech based. I knew that much. I just didn't know that there is this body part that can wirelessly connect with your Wi-Fi modem, your 5G tower, your phone, your Fitbit, your Apple Watch, the sensors that they grew in everybody all these years through other means, the G or the H that was in all of this. Like that's the other big thing. So the second component of this whole Shimona situation was to justify the inclusion of what she keeps harping on as meta materials. And this is why the doink, doink, doink comes in. Because meta, as you hear this word, I mean, we're on a meta product as it is. Meta materials are these materials that allow for the manipulation of the electromagnetic environment, both in and around you, the air around you, as well as the molecules and electricity within you, that are synthetic in nature, or at least it's not synthetic to a biological environment. And these are things that are required for a much higher IO bandwidth. So keeping in mind, myocarditis, soccer players collapsing, all these people with high demand in a cardio environment are the people suffering, it seems, from this inclusion. And everybody saw that, right? We just took it as bioweapon, or they want to kill us, or Pfizer wants to make money. Spike protein, right. But according to others on her channel and forum who I've been interacting with, it's a lot of evidence suggests that this Roni is its own network. They call it the COVID area network, the COVID wide area network or body area network, COVID BAN. And that this spike is a unique protein that serves as a biomarker in and of itself that creates its own network. So in a way, it was novel because there was the inclusion and the transduction
for someone like me. When you say the spike protein has created its own COVID network, what does that mean? Can you give me a different analogy for that?
So a network is just an agreement between several, we'll call them computers for simplicity's sake, an agreement between several computers to communicate
only with each other
on a particular language.
So it's like their own group chat.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Great way to put it. Their own group. Correct. So there's multiple vectors. Vectors are just entry points, multiple vectors for how they control what they control. And wearables is one of them. Extremely low frequency waves is another one of them. Microwaves is another one of them. LiDAR is another one of them. Using photonics and plasma-based manipulation to control pressure around you, like in an acupuncture sense, where they literally hit your acupuncture pressure points with remote pressure. That's another. It's like all these are different modalities. They don't do it to everybody all the time. It's just what they can pull up on a button press when they want.
The people who got the juice, they have like a more powerful antenna now. That's so.
Yes.
Okay. So then,
more or less, yes, an antenna that handles more data in and out, and is causing their bodies to process more data in and out, which we're
or other forms
of
sicknesses,
or other forms of sicknesses that often deal with like some inflammatory reaction or something that's like bigger or overworked.
So that's why when you have some people who, like, let's just say someone's using my body as a server and there's activity going on, I might get sick, and then my aura is going to be like tainted in some way. And then that frequency, when it rubs off with my son as we're hanging out and playing pickleball, he might get sick from me because of that frequency. Is that kind of like how people are getting sick in the vicinity without the virus actually being isolated? Is that?
Exactly. And if the beacon was increased bandwidth from 10% to 50%, then what happens is not a frequency in the general sense, but a network IP call, like a airdrop request, so to speak, is being bounced around from everybody to everybody else saying, come on, Give me what you got. Give me what you got. New data, we need 50% inclusion, not 10%, 50%. Crank the knob. So that 50% is making that many more agreements to create cyber physical networks amongst bodies that we're translating as, I got a fever. You see what I'm saying? I caught a fever. I caught the COVID because I was within the biofield distance 8 feet of somebody. And that just electrically put me in their airdrop territory. And because this hack is being run on all of us, you know, so I saw somebody ask earlier, so if you're healthy, that means they could use you more. Yes and no from what I'm learning. I don't have the answers on all this, but from what I'm learning, yes, in a basic sense, but no in the sense that the ways that you actually fight this or combat this is to enter. She gives several different ways that you can kind of detox and try to help mitigate what's going on. But she speaks a lot about song and praise and worship and thankfulness and gratitude, and just the fact that when you do change your mood into just an immediate state of grace and thankfulness, the fluctuation, like I know it sounds all new age and woo woo, but the raising your vibration is a thing in the sense that the frequency does oscillate up and down, and the oscillation breaks their lock basically on you for a minute to where they have to re-triangulate you. I'm using
That's
basic words,
interesting
but
because David Icke will say that they feed off of our lower vibrational energy. So when there's all this fear and all this shit happening in the media and the news, whatever, fear is the currency of control, and they are feeding off of that lower vibrational energy. Crystal Tini, of course, says we got to keep our vibrations high. Let's stop watching all the shits and let's do more of the namaste, like Lori Ladd's saying too. That's work on your inner peace. So that's the solution, basically raising our vibes.
So as a general sense, yes, but keeping in mind that the reason they have us focus on fear and how they perpetuate that is because that tends to just keep you in a locked state. They could use you in perfectly high vibe state or locked state. It's just about a matter of being in a consistent state so that the algorithm doesn't have to keep locking on you. Like, you know how when you play video games and you lock on somebody in like a fighter jet game? You don't really play video games, but back in the day, right? You're playing Star Fox on N64 or something, and you lock onto somebody, and you can fire, but after a few seconds, they pull some move and they break the lock. Well, now you got to hunt them down again to find lock again. So consistent states are what keep you locked. The second you can kind of move out of fear and out of your daily mull into something that's gracious, that just moves you up, and now your lock is broken.
What if
so it's
we're all in
subtle
namaste
ways
states and we're locked in there? Then can't they lock in at the higher vibrational state?
I mean, yes, but that would be like a hilarious like a Tim and Eric Awesome Show sketch to see played out, because it would just never happen in real life. But it's not so much can they, it's that if everybody was ever at that point, they would have no power over us anyway, because it would be bigger fish to fry on all their other fronts, so to speak. So I'm simply learning what technically makes the most sense based on where their investments work. That's the other big thing this is answering for me, Joe. I was always a bit like, okay, so we're in a pandemic, but I see y'all putting these towers up. Like, I was in LA when this first started, right? So I was like, I'm a nerd. I like fast internet. I'm always trying to get the highest bandwidth, but I got this iPhone 6 or whatever at the time, or iPhone 8. It's plenty fast. The 4G LTE is doggone fast. I never had to wait for anything. I hit FaceTime and it starts and it's clear. I hit download and it goes bloop. It's pretty fast. Like, I'm not itching for anything faster than 4G. And then out of nowhere comes this new
we didn't
G.
need it. We didn't need it. Things were fast enough.
Like,
I still don't use
right,
5G,
exactly. I
man.
turn mine off. I don't even use that. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I just, you can go into the settings and just disable the thing that just only use LTE. So when you do that, your battery is insanely, it lasts forever. Anyway, so I was already like, so let me get this straight. Every time I look at my bill, it's higher because y'all talking about y'all need to increase y'all profits for this tax or this tax or this tax. Every time I look at y'all earnings call, y'all always talking about how you got a loss year over year and how we're doing this, we're working on this to get more and more and more. And I'm saying, so you're losing money in terms of growth because of inflation, I guess. But yet you're investing in a bunch of stuff your customers don't even know
Yeah.
exists and don't even need. I don't get it. So that was always why I was like, plus with this fifth generation, the towers have to be closer together than the fourth generation towers. And then I learned from this lady, oh, it's because the millimeter wave was part of the final step in getting their arsenal of top to bottom control in place. The ability to use millimeter waves to craft the air around and in your space. So it's like they needed 10 or so different technologies to overlap to get the full control thing going. And the millimeter wave was apparently one of the final ones. So that's the why they needed it, because they could do all this prior to the fifth generation, and they have been since 2005. They just needed to put it all on super duper mode and get it all rectified
Do you think
and oscillified.
that may be one of the reasons why they got Bill Gates
Yeah.
on board?
I think that this man is one of the faces at externalizing what's really going on, because I have heard Microsoft pop up a lot. And I think that it now tells me why he's so involved with this, because this is just bandwidth. You see what I'm saying? It's just more IO, more synthetic materials to get his main hustle, computing in eugenics, off. This is all bioeugenics. This is like the new expression of eugenics. Shutting certain genes off in the people we don't like and other ones on the ones we do, bringing these types of character traits through and sitting those down, giving these diabetes and milking them for all the money and kicking them off the insurance when our AI precision healthcare says that they're not worth it as a unit anymore on the ledger. Then it is the bedrock for the entire blockchain. And when she started talking about that, that's when I was like,
Wait.
got it.
Can you
Okay,
explain
wow.
that? The benchmark for the whole entire blockchain.
So blockchain. So the blockchain, if anybody's familiar with Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, any of that, the key distinction to understand is that blockchain is the foundational technology. Cryptocurrency is the expression. CBDC is a form of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is a form of cryptocurrency. But cryptocurrency is just one type of use of the blockchain. NFTs are a separate type of use of the blockchain. They form a type of currency in a way, but they're technically separate. So I have heard it from friends who've invested and from other people who have considered investing in crypto mining operations. These are buildings, often small data centers or large data centers that have thousands of computers and giant AC systems to keep them all cool, because they're processing light at an incredibly high rate for IBM computers. This is where quantum computers come in to then take this all to the next level. But these server farms and these Bitcoin minings are kind of like, if you have the initial capital to invest in all the computers and the buildings and the AC systems, then you can get your return pretty quick because the demand's high for mining crypto. So when I find out from this lady that the entire backbone of the internet is being mainlined and fast-tracked and warp speed into position, because cryptocurrency and blockchain in general was always meant to be operating off the supercomputers of human bodies. And that this distributed ledger, and I'll explain what that means in a second for those who don't know, the system is so vast and robust and kind of beyond the scope of traditional servers, which is why it's kind of a burden on traditional servers, because it was never designed to be run on traditional servers. It's just they didn't get this part of the party to the bus quick enough, so they had to use traditional servers for this like 10-year
our bodies could handle and process that, like blockchain technology, better than whatever servers they have now. It's just too much.
Your body's gonna process any data
And this
that
is
is in any
what they
computer.
need
Yeah.
to enforce eventually the central bank digital currency. Is that
In a way that would actually like work ubiquitously in any sort of quick way. Yes, they would need some sort of like they would need some sort of computing model that could actually bear the load of all financial transactions just for the cryptocurrency aspect, never mind all the government ID and all the other stuff that's not currency. So what they're proposing with blockchain was always so theoretical and like in the future we will and we will and by 2030 we will, because everybody who's in that space knows, well, cool in theory, but like how you gonna mine all this? It's like it's kind of a bitch to just keep up with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and the few that exist now. Now y'all want to talk about licenses and IDs and all
yeah?
media and books and like all this other stuff on top of the blockchain. So I always knew, and it's been stated in all the official from MIT to Johns Hopkins and everywhere in between that the DNA and bodies are the quickest. Like I've heard comparisons like your body's like 8 million times or something crazy the speed of a computer, or like the fastest computer processor. And it really is. And this is why I think Apple's technology and all this machine learning is going nomenclature into the human body, the bionic chip, neural networks and machine learning and all this kind of AI. She also talks about how ChatGPT and OpenAI are partially run off of this cyber physical backbone too, which is crazy if that's how fast, that's how so doggone fast. That's the other thing. I'm like, so there's a giant pandemic, and then out of nowhere, two crazy robust AI systems just pop online. Just bloop, ChatGPT. Hey, I know y'all are bored and sitting at home, and we just came through a pandemic, so basically everybody's broke. But here's this crazy, I don't know, ask it whatever you want to, and it'll give you an answer in 3 minutes system for
Yeah.
free. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, and OpenAI
So
too. Like,
let
oh
me
god,
ask you
Midjourney.
this.
Okay.
So
No, like,
I know that Sabrina Wallace, the videos link under my bio on my Telegram. You don't have a Telegram, so it's on my Telegram.
I
Okay,
do, but I don't
you
really
don't even
post
post
on
on your Instagram either. You're only good for these lives.
there.
You used to make awesome videos, and you stopped doing that. Um,
I'm gonna make them again.
I know, because you got a
it's just
second
like,
child now. So I hear you, man.
oh,
Thanks for coming on this live. But listen, but let me ask you an honest question here. So let's just say, I know you believe in what this lady's saying scientifically, but we don't know with absolute certainty if this is what the Shimona really is. I mean, it sounds like it, and so I'm just trying to be a little patient in jumping on board on this, right?
yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. I would just say I've heard a lot of theories, and all of them were like, but this is the first one that I've heard that's like, wow, you guys, I
Right,
think this might be it.
right.
Like, I think this might be it. Like, I don't know, but I'm pretty
It's
sure
not only
that
you,
this
but
makes the
Alex
most
Zek,
sense to me.
homeboy, Mister There Is No Virus, is saying, "Yo, this shit makes sense." That means a lot to me.
Yeah,
Right,
because he's a systems
right.
engineer.
So
He's a
so
systems engineer.
so
So it's an
okay.
engineering thing. It's a
So
physics and
let's just say
engineering thing more
hypothetically,
than anything.
this is it, right? Then would you expose this? Okay, because
Kind of,
if
yeah.
that
That's what
is
I'm even talking about
the
now.
case, then you would commit suicide along with Sabrina Wallace and me. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't be alive if this
Social media
if they
wise,
were that
perhaps.
gung ho over G Money and the Maxine, and if not me, whoever's watching this Instagram, but this guy is exposing this shit to Sabrina
Totally
Wallace.
not Joe.
I mean, isn't this kind of dangerous information though? Seriously, man, real talk.
It's like it is, but it's like this is the war. This is the act. It's like being in Ready Player One and being Parsifal ahead of time, knowing that you got the like thing. You're like, yo, I got like you wanna you can't hold it in. It's like it's no point to just use it for yourself. The point is to propagate. And then when I watch her, I watch somebody who's kind of at their wits end with censorship and people too scared to tell people what it is because she keeps calling out, and I'm sitting here going, Sabrina, I'm pretty sure nobody knows about this. Like nobody's hiding this. I just never heard of this. And she keeps calling out people for not telling people what it is. But I think that the people she's calling out are simply just random disinformation agents in the engineering forums, not like the randos on YouTube and Instagram in general, just the specific famous electrical engineering forum people who are like, oh, well, yeah, that's all theoretical. I don't know. I don't know. She's like, listen, here's Department of Defense directive, dot, 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 dot. Read what it said. In fact, let's read it together. And then she'll show you this is stuff that the DOD has said is required in every American citizen back like almost 10 years ago.
But Chris, think about this. So I'm just thinking ahead here. You know what the lengths that they went through to try to hide certain things, certain truths about certain products being 95% effective and all that shit, right? Like complete character assassination on all these people. Yeah. You don't think that if this gets out and if this is really what it is, that they will try to stop this information from going out at all costs? I'm not trying to pull Jason Shirka here, but I'm just saying, like, this is, if this truth is that dangerous, you know, you don't think that they're going to come after people like Sabrina Wallace?
Well, it's dangerous. Well, they already come after her as it is, but the reason they come after her is because she is the systems network engineer that helped establish that for the whole state of Wisconsin. So her resume speaks to her validity on it. I'm just kind of an armchair enthusiast who understands the category of discussion she's talking about. So number one, I'm not as threatening. However, I do arguably a better job at illustrating it and simplifying it because I'm kind of just putting it through the blender of my own brain as I really churn through this type of thing. So I'm just at the point where I'm like, I want to help people, you know? So I've thought about like, how do I present this in the best possible way where I can protect myself? And I'm just going to say, listen, it's on the internet, so I ain't like break no top secret clearance and levels, nothing to get it. So it's kind of like, I think that they kind of are in a position where they have control over people to the degree that if people know, it's like, whatever, welcome to now you're in the game. All right, fine, play ball. Kind of, I think that they kind of treat it like that. And the only people they really bother silencing are people who have, not in like a fact check sense, but just in like a threatening sense. People who have clearance levels to expose stuff that they don't want to expose, not just random.
Okay. So would that mean that, like how you made a series of videos, highly edited, God knows how much time you spent on those videos on like the masks that you did, like you had a series on that. Would you consider maybe making a series on something like this?
I would, and I've thought about that. I would obviously love to work with her on doing that, but I just am sitting here going, how do I help? Like, how do I illustrate this in a way that's both accurate and that provides some solutions? Because I've seen people ask that. And she does provide solutions. She talks about, heavy metal detoxing being a great way to get a lot of the sensors out of you and just the stuff that makes the whole system work. But it's kind of like, I feel like it's, for me, I always tell people I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or a consultant, but what I can help you do is understand how a thing works so that hopefully you can take that knowledge and make the right decisions about that thing moving forward. That's the best I can really offer, is to say, let me show you just how it works. And then I can be happy to tell you what I think about a thing or tell you, how I handle a thing, but I don't really know how to tell you what to do because I don't know your situation and I don't know all your circumstances.
Hey, but I wanted you to know, I found Sabrina Wallace's email. I emailed her today, and let me read you what I wrote. Mm-hmm. Hopefully she'll get back to me.
Okay.
So usually, if you want to grab someone's attention on a psychological level, it's good to drop some names that you may personally be friends with that person, like a mutual friend. So if I want to connect with you, right, and you have no idea who I am, if I'm like, yo, dude, Chris, I watched your video, I was introduced to you through our mutual friend, Alex Zek, then it's a lot more likely that you will return my message or whatever, because we have Alex as a friend. So, hello, Sabrina. My name is Doctor Joseph Yee, and I'm a psychiatrist who has been exposing the COVID scam over the past several years. I was wondering if we can schedule an interview to discuss more in depth with your recent findings with the biofield and how this correlates with their agenda. My Instagram is this. I've done interviews with David Icke, Maria Z, Tom Cowan, Robert Malone, David Avocado Wolf, Christiane Northrup. I figured she might know one of these, at least one.
One of those.
So
yeah.
please let me know if we can make it happen. I believe you're, someone who may have uncovered this mystery, and I gave her my number and my email. So let's see, man. I hope that she returns, but if she does, what do you think, man? Should we do this like on a Zoom kind of thing? And if so, like, where the fuck are we gonna post this shit?
I would. Yeah. I would post it on your Telegram. Like I would do it on the Zoom because she has a whole Telegram channel of her whole followers and all these people that help kind of do the math and like weigh in on her research on Telegram.
Wait. Patricia Mom is saying she knows Amanda Vollmer. So dude, I can hit up Amanda. Oh shit.
Yeah. Oh, she knows Amanda. Oh, there you go. Yeah, hit up Amanda because Amanda
Yo, that's how we're gonna do. That's how we're gonna find her. Do Amanda Vollmer, man. Wait. So
okay.
So then let me ask you this: if she's willing to come on an Instagram Live versus do a Zoom interview, what would you prefer?
I would say
I want to moderate this thing. My role is to moderate. I'd like to ask some questions, maybe to represent the people who don't fully get the tech language, but you could geek out with her. And I think it would be great if we get...
Yeah, well, put it like this. You can do both. You can just either do Restream and do both, or you can just set your phone next to your other phone and do Zoom, but also do Instagram at the same time.
Well, I wanted you, and I was thinking maybe getting Alec as well, because Alec could go ham on his no virus thing. So maybe like the four of us could do something like a Zoom. Well, Alec will probably want her on his podcast, but okay. But I'm just saying, if it was one or the other, would you think maybe Instagram or more of like a Zoom thing?
I would think wherever it cannot get deleted, like it would just be gold. I'm sure it would be absolute gold. So either way, like as far as I'm sure she can find an Instagram account, but as far as I know,
I tried looking for
Zoom is probably.
I tried looking for on Instagram, TikTok, and what I find really interesting about her videos is that despite the fact that she's speaking in her own Chinese technical language that I don't understand, there are tons of views not only on the Odyssey and all that YouTube, but on TikTok as well. Apparently, these people are screen recording certain segments and posting it. She's getting tons and tons of views there, which I find very strange because I didn't think the TikTok crowd would really get that. But I guess there are people.
Because a lot of them TikToks are nerd kids. These like code kids. So keep in mind, there's subcultures and niches in every category, right? I dabbled in the nerd kid culture, but like there's skaters and there's like the music kids and the theater kids and like the basketball kids or the athlete kids. And then there's the kids that like the program their PlayStation controller
and play
their garage
Pokemon cards when they're adults. Yeah.
Similar, like a large overlap. So she's basically saying that in the GitHub, so GitHub is like a forum for coders. It's like like just some sort of like marketplace, if you will, for coders, for people who do computer coding. She's like, any nerd that can code in Zigbee and Bluetooth. Zigbee is just a simple coding language. Bluetooth is just a simple coding language. Could buy a $300 device since the 2000s, and with their mind open their garage door, because we're dealing with radio frequencies, basic stuff that your little RC car was in. They just never told you your body can interface with that stuff. And so, yes, it harms you. Yes, all this ionizing and non-ionizing radiation equally are harmful, just at different levels. But they've hidden the body part, she keeps saying. And this body part is yours to use however you want to. And certain people have much stronger auras or biofields than others. Like certain people have
Yeah,
much stronger arms than
yeah.
others. You
No,
know what I mean? It's
but
just a
this is
body
like
part.
I'm sure I represent the people watching this, including you, but like I feel so fucking violated. If this is true, like I feel
Yeah.
so violated right now. These motherfuckers, as it is, we're all pissed off at
Yeah.
them as it is, and now they're using our bodies for as an antenna to communicate and steal our data and process shit in our blood. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? When you say it out loud,
It does. It's when you say it like that, it sounds insane. But that's what makes it so fascinating because I'm like, it's the most insane thing that mathematically checks out. Like it's like that's what makes it such a like a chuckle in a weird way because I'm like, huh. So they're just repurposing the human body to act as a computer because basically computers are dumbed down humans. Computers were built to operate like dumb humans. Stupid instruction codes, no internal creativity. Do this, in electricity in, output out, IO. Same general premise in terms of just like schematics go. But now I'm realizing that with the simple inclusion of this wireless antenna that interfaces with all of our wireless devices, we now process information in binary, ones and zeros, to the tune where people can all openly admit, yeah, I was thinking about a puppy, and then I started
yeah.
seeing puppy ads on my Instagram. Everybody said, oh, yeah, I was talking about dog chow, and then the dog chow ad came on or something. But it's been more recent that people are like, yo, no, I didn't mention this at all. I was thinking about it.
Yo, man,
And then I
motherfuckers
started
trying to
seeing
sell me
ads.
pickleball products
Yeah,
everywhere, man.
right. But I'm saying between what you talk about, what you think about, it's all part of the like marketing. So if I'm an advertiser, I'm just gonna buy 100,000 people in my demographic and say, tell me who's thinking about the products
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
sell, and I'm gonna market it straight to them. And apparently, since 2005, if you got enough money, you can do that. If you want make your Stepford wife, if you want your son to be the best athlete in the world, you can do all that. So this is what I mean by like, can sports be rigged? I mean, I guess if stuff like this goes on, it's like who knows? Like it might be like biofield perfection practice. Like
Well,
just
well,
go.
well. To
They're
the
like,
to the
I
people who believe that all sports are rigged, I will say I've seen some shady ass things in football. I will acknowledge that in
yeah, I
football, for
know,
whatever reason,
right?
fucking football, I've seen some weird shit. People just like try to kick a field goal when there's really no point to kick a field goal other than to try to like cut the what do you call it, the spread or whatever. Um,
Uh,
yeah,
Split,
I
yeah.
won't. I won't. I still refuse to
Yeah.
believe that for tennis, but I could see that there are some games that they could do that for. But hey, there may if I could just say this, um, if I could just tell you how I feel,
Mhm.
because I've been listening to you this whole time, so let me express
Sure,
how I feel about this. If this
sure.
conversation took place a year or two ago, it would be a very different situation. Now that the Shimona thing seems to be over for now, God knows whatever happens in January, but for now, it's just like no one's really talking about it more. Like
Right. Exactly.
I don't know, man. I want to do something about this, but it's like, oh man, this shit's dead. But at the same time, this is what that whole thing was all about. So it's almost like, do we really want to revisit COVID and start like raising hell on this shit? But how could we not,
Right.
if this is true, like how could we not say anything about it?
Well, because it's bigger. The good point, but I think that for me, it's just bigger. It's giving me the clue as to what this Shimona really was, but it is bigger than the Shimona because the Shimona was just a phase advancement in what it already was, and it's not the end goal.
So are you? Oh,
So
wait, wait,
I'm
wait,
looking
wait,
at this
wait.
and
So
I'm
are you
like,
fully convinced that this is all part of the 2030 transhumanism agenda? Like this is what is, because that's what David Icke has been saying the whole time. So a lot of people have been saying that.
I am convinced of that. Yeah, and I think that what her work has made it click is to why their investment up to this point has been the way it has been. That's really that's got me locked into why I think she makes the most sense. Is because I'm standing there as a telecommunications major and I'm saying, I see so much forward trajectory with deployment of certain communication systems, but with little return on that. Like, you can't be justifying spending billions of dollars on fifth generation technology when everybody's complaining about the bill for their fourth generation technology and you're losing money as a company, and Sprint was bought by T-Mobile. You know, it's like everything's crumbling on the business side, but yet the investments are just going up. And then I go to the bank one day and they're like, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to withdraw some cash. They're like, okay, cool. Let me see your ATM card. Put the ATM card, type the PIN. They're like, okay, great. So we're going to text a code to your phone. Just tell me what the code is. And I'm like, I'm here standing in the bank. I mean, sure, the code is right here, but like, since when did you start asking for two-factor authentication at the bank? That's a thing now. And I have it in my big project that I'm mapping out. This two-factor authentication, this is going to be a real big problem. Everybody thinks that's such a good thing, and I'm already looking at this like, I think we just walked into a trap with that. Because what that means is that we've now got to the point where banks won't let you get your own money out unless you have a cell phone service on you.
Really? I mean, I took
like,
so I don't know how it is in your family, but in our culture, in the South Korean American culture, we give our parents some money. So I went to the bank today, ATM card, draw some money, gave my father some cash. Not that issue yet, but I've also heard about.
Well, did you
Did
you go in the bank or just to the ATM? Yeah, me, every time I go to the ATM, I don't get asked for a PIN. I just needed to take out more cash than I could at the
ATM. So
I went
they need an extra code.
The teller, and I'm sitting there going, but I've been looking at your face for 20 years. I'm the same person. My code checked out. My ID is the same. I didn't forget the PIN. I got the card. I got Apple Pay, what you want. Like, why do I have to actually get a code from outside? Because that requires that I have a cell phone. Like right now, it's all convenient. It's fine. But if I just said, I want to go a month without my phone, I now can't get this money.
All that's going to turn into some sort of a digital ID system. Like, we need to see your code on digital ID. By the way, here, I want to show you something. So I unknowingly got coerced into signing up for the fucking ID.me. I had to sign up for that shit because if I don't, then I cannot prescribe medicine. So they do this bullshit here where in order for me to prescribe medicine, at least in the state of Pennsylvania, right? This is ID.me, and it gives you a code. It's backwards, but you see that time, there's a time limit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then once that time expires, there's a new code, and I have to give the pharmacist the code and the patient's name, date of birth, or whatever, to prescribe a controlled medication, right? So that's it, and I cannot do that unless I'm a part of fucking ID.me. That's how they got me, man. So they're gonna figure out a way to get everyone. Like if you need to pay your taxes or whatever, you got to sign up for ID.me, whatever. So this is all part of this getting us on some sort of an ID passport or so.
Yes. Now it is like what this person just commented. It is a lot of what Alison McDowell talks about. The difference is Alison talks about the framework of how the not theological, but like the philosophical and kind of like structure of it all is set up. What this lady talks about is how the physical network layer interfaces with the stuff that Alison talks about. So Alison will talk about the Internet of Behaviors and who it will function and how it will function in terms of like the end user side of things. But Sabrina will talk about the Internet of Bodies and the Internet of Behaviors and how the actual IPs and the functions and the engineering side of what's going on, which is the same thing. It's just one's at the consumer side, one's at the back side of the server.
Brother, you've watched 89 of her videos. Can you give us some like positive things here? Because I think a lot of people are kind of like freaked out right now. So, but I mean, more than freaked out, I'm fucking angry right now. Like I'm really annoyed. Not so much angry, but more annoyed that this is happening. I feel very violated. These motherfuckers, like, they never cease to surprise me of how twisted and evil they could be. So based on the videos that you watch from what Sabrina's saying, anything that we could do to kind of like cleanse our aura? I've seen some of the comments, people saying maybe we need to go back into nature. Anything that you recall?
So the one thing, like just knowing how this works, anybody who's interested in moving into the woods and being out of the cities is already putting themselves in a better position, because the way this works is via cluster nodes, and more computing happens because this is all body to body, body area network to body area network. So the second you're outside of a physical location with a lot of body area networks, you're automatically at a reduced usefulness. Separately, foods and certain detoxes can be consumed, things like zeolites, shilajit, things like that, to help absorb a lot of these minerals, and sorry, not minerals, but heavy metals that contribute to the creation of these biosensors and all these relay nodes that talk to their system, that are foreign to your body, are metal based. You know, when it comes to detoxing this thing right here, it's hard to say. The big thing that I keep forgetting, that I've come to the conclusion of, but most people might not know, is that as far as I can tell from people who have sequence vials, who are not me, I am going off of their word, but it is not really any modified ribonucleic acid present in the vials, mostly graphene and or carbon lattices known as hydrogel. So the contents of it, if you think of them like nanoscopic Lego blocks, things that can be formed into any shape layer using electromagnetic signals, and different types of external stimuli to change the electrical state both in and around your body. And that the whole purpose was just faster throughput, because of course they couldn't just come out and say, hey, you want to sign up to be part of we run a computer off your backbone? No. So I've seen people in the comments talk about zeolites, chlorella, shilajit. I saw a homie talk about people in the, like, dealing with issues within the terahertz spectrum. That's a whole separate thing. She talks a lot about the terahertz intrabody network, how a lot of these molecules are designed to operate at terahertz frequencies, which is an order of magnitude higher than gigahertz, and that the terahertz have very short distances, like 8 centimeters, that they'll send the signal out, but it's enough to talk to the other cells in your body. So there's all kinds of sophisticated networks within networks. But all this to say that the detox protocols and the mitigation strategies span from stuff you can eat and stuff you shouldn't eat, like to make the problem worse. She talked about how a lot of the candida situations, in some cases, candidas can be bio accentuated or attenuated to react to certain electromagnetic impulses. They kick the frequency up, the candida kicks in you, and then certain reactions happen in your brain from the candida going off in your gut from the stimulus candida is getting from this external stimulus.
Wait, so basically what you are saying is what all the people watching this probably have been doing already, because most of the people supporting our channel are these namaste folks, right? So they're all meditating and shit, they're all spending time in nature, they're all taking like detox supplements, eating clean, whether you're vegan or carnivore. So it seems like if you're doing the right health measures, that's a great way to protect your aura. And you know what, man? See, I've had this theory that I would say some shit like, you know what? I feel like they cranked up the 5G. I would say that. Like they cranked it up because like I just feel like a more heaviness in this world or whatever. Even before all this thing happened in the Middle East, And people would be like, haha, yeah. But now to come to think of it, yeah, they fucking might have been running some shit through my body and the people in this area or in your area. And so when people are like, yeah, I don't know why, man, like I'm doing my usual routines, but I just feel more anxious. I just can't sleep. Like, I guess that could explain it, man, because I'm just seeing a wave of fucking anxiety. I ask people, well, what are you doing differently? And they're like, nothing. I just feel more anxious. So,
Yeah. That's like, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about that earlier today, talking with a friend, sharing about this same information, saying that according to this research, they have the technology, and I read about this a while ago. I just didn't understand that it was implemented at a wide scale. So I knew it was possible. I just didn't think it was as prolific. But that they have what they call brain colon brain and neuron colon neuron connections, where they make these kind of like plasma based clones of you, not a true real clone, just a clone of your electrical state. And then they affect that in a computer system or in a modified environment or in like a modeled environment. And then they model that and then train that back to you. So you experience these existences or emotions from existences that aren't present to your normal time. And it's not like you're living in some alternate timeline or some metaverse or multiverse. Is that they got an AI running on you at the doggone data center because you're in a program called your state is about to get experimented on next. And so, yeah, people's experiences are being shared bioelectrically. And so I do believe that the collective consensus feels anguish and they feel extrapolate or exacerbation and they feel stress and then we absorb it. Not only is that like a standard byproduct of how I think the human condition works in general, but I think it's being augmented synthetically to the point where, yeah, they crank the knob and we're all like,
do you remember that dude, Ari Malloy? Yeah, he came
Ari
on like
Malloy?
on our not as a featured guest when me, you, and Crystal, but like he came on just for like a little bit just to say what's up. But he's like that young dude. He's only like 19, 20 years old. He's pretty deep. He's really into breath work. White boy. Anyhow, this dude,
Yeah, I kind of remember him, yeah. What you mean,
no,
Rozzy
no, not
Sunchild?
Rozzy. Ari
Okay.
Malloy. He's only like 19, 20 years old. He's in Costa Rica now, or I think in Peru. He's like really into breath
Okay.
work. He's teaching people about meditation and namaste and all this shit, right? And so he recently went on this like ayahuasca journey in Peru, and he came back home to visit his family to tell them that he's made the decision to like live in Costa Rica or Peru. I forget, one of those places, right? And he said that when he went back home to visit his family, he felt anxiety. He felt a lot of anxiety coming back to the States. And he's like, bro, like just the energy is very different here versus in Costa Rica. And this all makes sense now too. Assuming this is legit, what you're saying with Sabrina.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it is. Yeah, I think that we're all kind of compartmentalized. We all kind of talk at one another. Say, "Oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm good, man." Even if you're feeling like crap, you're like, "Oh no, I'm good. I'm good." So we're just kind of socially all just agreeing that we're all in pain and not really doing well because we say we are, but we're technically not. And you deal with it all day. People dealing with it. That's the other thing. People dealing with SSRIs and benzos. So, in a nutshell, for people who don't know what an SSRI, explain that because she talks about how SSRIs
Well,
are a
oh,
particular assault
really?
weapon
Oh,
of
shit.
theirs
Okay.
to
So
shut
SSRIs
off
are
like
selective
yeah.
serotonin reuptake inhibitors, meaning if you take a medication like a Zoloft or a Prozac or a Lexapro, these are all SSRIs. They slow down the breakdown of serotonin. So your brain, your body produces serotonin based on the foods and the supplements you take. And then they produce serotonin, and the serotonin gets released and does what serotonin does. These medicines come in and slow down the breakdown. So if you can visualize like a trash bin, a recycle bin, the serotonin does this thing and eventually goes into this trash bin to get broken down and recycled. These medicines come and they block that channel so that the serotonin just kind of floats around longer. And so that's all they do. So it's not like there's serotonin in the Zoloft or the Prozac. It just slows down the breakdown of whatever you have naturally in your brain. Now, Sabrina Wallace is saying that SSRI is what?
She's saying that they're a particular assault against your. It was either the light photons that generate out of you or your biofluid itself. I got to go back and like really hone in on what she was saying. But I remember she was calling out
Oh,
SSR. I remember at the
shit,
time being like, "Oh, I got
really?
to send this to Joe because he be SSR." But she was basically saying how the SSRI category of pharmaceuticals in particular diminishes the light code within you, and it really like by I think it's by overworking your serotonin receptors by not allowing them to break down as quickly as they should. It's like it's almost like adrenal fatigue for your serotonin receptors.
You know what's interesting is that when people take medicines like Zoloft or Lexapro or whatever, right? What happens is these people, their anxiety symptoms get numbed up. So sometimes when people are on these kind of medicines for like years or like even decades, and then I shave them off, I taper them off, and then they could start feeling again, you know, they start getting tearful and stuff because they're like, dude, like I could feel again, I could feel emotions again. So sometimes in their past, when life is too traumatic, these kind of medicines kind of numb their, you know, shielded their feelings, right? But now, so that kind of makes sense because these medicines numb your emotions and maybe your aura too.
Yeah, I think so. And I think like I just remember she was talking on this rant and then she was like, oh, and SSRIs, like that's a particular assault. Like it's not just, oh, it's convenient. It's
And
something about
benzos too, she
SSRIs
said?
in particular that not benzos, just SSRIs. I mean, I'm sure benzos are not separately problematic, but it was something specifically for SSRIs as diminishing or affecting either both your biofield or the photons generated out of you, because she keeps maintaining that we create light inside of us. Your cerebral spinal fluid, I was talking to Vin Esposito earlier, and he's like, not just your cerebral spinal fluid, but according to certain, you know, energy discussing doctors that he's aware of, every cell in your body is capable of generating photons at the DNA level that is the source of what they make as the proteins. And I just remember him, like I was explaining all this to him and he's like, yo, this is clicking and making so much sense, because he's been on this whole like water as like sunlight transmuting water into light phase of like the biological approach to it. And I'm coming from an engineering approach, and we're both like, bro, like, my mind is blown, like this is crazy. But he was like you, he's like, I don't understand a lot of the engineering of it all, but I get some of the science, the biology of it. And it seems to me that the engineering part is really where the rubber hits the road. It's the reason why it works is because it's built on the old internet. It's built on the same exact internet that's always been. It's just that the biofield has allowed for them to hijack your body as a computer node. And it's now using wireless computer to computer network. I even sent this to Crystal when I first found it. Like, Crystal, this might explain your shedding.
Yeah. Because Crystal, for people who don't know, when Crystal is around people who are juiced up, she bleeds down there. And I'm not talking from her period, but from the other hole. So that happens all the time. Doesn't happen to me, but for her. So how would you explain why that happens to her and not to me necessarily?
Well, because I would say that for whatever reason, the cluster, that the computing switches are finding her body to be a more useful candidate for high bandwidth purposes, maybe because she's healthy, who knows, whatever the reason. And then when that triggers, her body reacts to it in this particular way that's anomalous, like bleeding in this way. And it could be a result of her body rejecting the signals and passing them off in this way that translates as bleeding, or it could be her body accepting the signals, actually working overtime to actually execute the functions, and bleeding as it is.
So, I mean, Ajna is asking, bleed, what? Explain. Well, Crystal, when she's around people who are juiced up, when she goes and works with people who are, you know, vaccinated, she has a tendency to bleed from her down there, from her butts. She's made it very public. So she went on the Stu Peters show and she said that. So it's no secret. But you know what's also interesting? Here's the thing. Here's my theory on that. And this is all speculation on my end right now. But Crystal is a vegan, and I think when people eat like super fucking clean, they're just more sensitive to toxins. So, for example, like I was a long time smoker, right? So I could smoke, and whatever, chain smoke, and it was nothing. But then I bet you if I smoked a cigarette now, like I would be coughing my lungs out because my lungs are a lot cleaner now than it was before. So I think on that way, like if she's eating like pure, like super clean, vegan like foods, and then she's exposed to more of the toxins or like toxic radio frequencies, I guess she could probably feel it more than maybe someone who has other toxic shit in their bodies.
Or if they're already inflamed, so an extra jolt of inflammation is nothing to them. It's
Mm.
just, oh, I got a headache today, or oh, my, my fingers are numb again today, and they don't see it as anomalous. Whereas in her case, she's getting cranked. Processes are going way up, and her
Yeah,
body's like, no, 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 no.
yeah, yeah.
All kinds of implications because computers and switches are always looking to just offload. It's called load balancing because that was her answer. She said, I think that COVID is just their load balancing. It's how they can test how much of the network they can dish to this area or that area or this. It's a common networking thing, load balancing. All right, if we're going to serve up, let's just say Netflix. I don't even know where Netflix's servers are, but let's just hypothetically say, well, let's use Apple's servers. I know they have a big one in North Carolina and they have a big one in California. So let's just use those. I'm sure they have others, but let's just say Apple deals with emails for your iCloud. They deal with photos going back and forth for text. They deal with phone calls. They deal with GPS. They deal with Game Center. They deal with all these different things. So what they do is they run tests to see how do we make our back end systems as efficient as possible by pushing certain traffic to this data center over here, or that data center over there, or splitting this type of traffic to there. Okay, FaceTime stuff gets over here, but emails and texts go over here. Okay, they're constantly making it as efficient as possible to save money. So if you're take the computers out the conversation for a second and you're looking at human bodies as computers with the biofield as the antenna, then load balancing is simply stress testing how much can we use of this person or this person, this node.
How much could
Same
Texans
computing
handle
terms
this
for the
load
back.
versus the North Carolinians and Pennsylvania?
Right. Exactly. And it might be even like how much can people with a social security number that starts with an odd number handle it versus even like how they delineate this
Yeah.
could be anybody's guess, right? Because computing and like when I hit say cool Joe, we'll see you at 11 and I hit K, that K, I don't know where it goes. It goes all over. It goes to 100 different computers somewhere. I don't know where those are, but they're trying to alleviate that chain and make it human bodies in a connection that respond even quicker, electromagnetically quicker than, I mean, we're talking milliseconds, but imagine like I create a blockchain request and a million people's bodies feel that and react immediately around the world. And that's my blockchain ledger request because that one data mining set distributed across a million bodies is very low processing compared to the same thing being processed on one server at a
Now Linda
warehouse.
here is asking the next thing that I was going to ask you about, but how does this fit into the depopulation agenda? So I wasn't ever fully convinced that this was a depop agenda. I think some people may get hurt along the way during an experimentation, and it's like, it is what it is. I never really felt like that was their primary motive to get rid of people, although I do think that the population increasing at an exponential rate is somewhat concerning to me too, not just the NWO, because it took from the beginning of time till 1800 sometime to reach 1 billion. And then from 1800 to a few hundred years later, now we're at like 8 billion, 7 billion more. So I do think that the population thing is a little bit of a concern, but I never believed that this was a true depopulation agenda. So how does this fit into that?
Yeah. So I think that this is a eugenics thing. Keep in mind, depopulation willy-nilly is like stupid. Nobody wants to do that. Eugenics, there's money in eugenics. if you're not familiar with what that term means, it's a very widely accepted science from Socrates and Plato's era, basically up until the early 1900s. But it is the art of controlling the outcome of a species, eugenics.